Claudio Ravenstein, otherwise known as Fibs, is an animator, a punk, and a man on a mission. He's writing a thesis about animated Nazi propaganda. Fibs has come across the story of one distinguished German animator's subversion of Goebbels' directive to promote the final solution.
I'm half crowd, half spaghetti. I thought I might as well do something positive, you know, to go like, do some animation, you know.
I went to Auschwitz recently to find out why my grandmother, who was half Jewish and an artist, had to be gassed there in 1944.
Well, that was the reason I went to Auschwitz, was because of my grandmother. She was a famous artist in Germany. Hitler was loving Mickey Mouse. Hitler was hoping that Mickey Mouse is going to help him to exterminate the Jew.
In Frank's Leberechts, Armer Hansi, Hansi the Canary is driven out of the farmyard with violence which surpasses Disney's more extreme moments. Bullying and persecution are glamorized, presented as the honest code of peasant life. For Hansi the Canary, the message is clear. If you don't belong, get back in your cage.
Goebbels was really clever. I mean, for propaganda, he was a genius. We must admit that, even though he went the wrong way.
I was joined by my mate Buffy from college. We drove like madmen to Berlin with a single cassette, Motorhead.
If you like to gamble, I tell you I'm your man. You win some, lose some, and do the same to me.
What I'm planning to do is go to Berlin, search around, you know. Yeah, I'm gonna get these films I'm after, you know. I know I'm gonna get at least 2, 3.
The first thing I looked for in Berlin was information on Hans FisherKozen, the animator. FisherKozen was apparently sent to the Sachsenhausen concentration camp, but I couldn't find anything on him in the archive. But I did find out that many German artists had to flee the Nazis, including animators like Oskar Fischinger and Lotte Reininger. However, many animators remained working in Nazi Germany from 1933 to 1945 under Goebbels' Ministry of Propaganda. Many of these films had the wrong date, to suggest they had not been made in Nazi Germany. Many more have been re-edited or destroyed or simply disappeared.
Sich die Heuschreckenschwärme der Ostjuden über das deutsche Land. Sie trugen ihren zersetzenden Einfluss, trugen sie ihren Raffen.
I discovered some films that had been featured in a documentary, including Kaufman nicht Händler, a film made to celebrate the first German Day of Trade in 1933. A government initiative designed to create anti-Semitic feelings amongst German traders.
Zerschlugen sie überall die Sitte und das deutsche Wesen durch ihren raffenden, spekulationslüsternen Geist der Verantwortungslosigkeit.
Another discovery in the archive was Hawkside im Korallenmeer, animated by Horst von Möllendorf, featuring identical creatures juggling, perpetuating the Aryan ideal of teamwork and unified identity. I'm determined to get to the root of this. I found proof of the existence of Nazi propaganda in animation, but now I'm trying to understand why those animators would do that kind of work. Goebbels had paid Disney good money for Mickey Mouse shorts and the Three Little Pigs, but balked at the cost of Snow White. As a result, he called for all able animators to step up production and focus on commercial cartoons that stuck to the Nazi code. Hans FisherKozen, one of the most distinguished animators remaining in Germany, was called into action. FisherKozen's first film under the Nazis, Weather-Beaten Melody, seems harmless enough on the surface. However, the film actually contains quite a bit of subversion. In this case, the ambiguity of the worker bee's reaction to the liberated hedgehog's enjoyment of crazy jazz, a kind of music which was actually forbidden by the Nazis. After the war, the Russians tried FisherKozen as a Nazi collaborator. He was imprisoned at Sachsenhausen, now a Soviet camp. Whilst there, it is said he produced murals in a place where drawing, reading, writing and singing were banned.
This must be it.
Buffy and I decided to try and find these murals.
There's no traces of FisherKozen here in Sachsenhausen. I don't know why. I would have thought that maybe the graffiti should have been preserved there, really, like on the walls. So I don't know what happened to that.
A similar spirit of ambiguity and subversive subtext pervades FisherKozen's second film under the Nazis, The Snowman. Our hero is trapped in a dark, hostile environment, Winterland, and discovers another place which is sunny and free, the country of summertime, July. The snowman escapes there at the cost of his own life, but it seems that freedom and happiness are worth dying for.
The execution trench in Sachsenhausen, and just up here is the crematorium. This is where 100,000 plus people got put to death.
But FisherKozen was very lucky when he was here to know that he was not one of them put on that wall, right?
Yeah.
It's a shame we couldn't see them, the graffitis of FisherKozen.
I couldn't find the original murals from the kitchens, but I did find photos. They illustrate the humility and tragedy of the vegetables of the same family helping to slice each other up. Whilst The Silly Goose seems to satisfy Goebbels' command for blood and soil films that glorify German peasant life, FisherKozen also creates a complex and ambiguous story that often confuses and contradicts Nazi policy. When the goose is seduced by the fox, we hear an old Yiddish song. It seems at first that the fox, the villain, is identified as the Jew, but then we discovered the goose, the victim, is being abused in the same ways as the Nazis abused the Jews. Slave labor and imprisonment ending in execution.
Why do you think Goebbels used Nazi propaganda in animation?
I think it's got something to do with the innocence of animation, and because of its innocence, it's more insidious.
Reynard the Fox is a perfect example of this. Propaganda disguised as innocence. Although the soundtrack has disappeared, it's clear from this surviving fragment that the cartoon rhino is intended to portray a cunning, manipulative Jewish caricature. FisherKozen demonstrated that even in the darkest hours of human depravity, men of principle can resist by subverting with subtlety the orders and prejudices of a tyrant.
I think Goebbels realised that the way to really brainwash people wasn't to shout at them and drill it into their minds. It was to work on the prejudices and bigotries that already existed in their society. It really isn't a question of did it contribute to the final solution. It was one of the building blocks to brainwash the populace into a kind of dull acceptance where they wouldn't raise a voice. I don't think his spirit got crushed because he managed to escape from East Germany shortly afterwards, didn't he?
Just with his camera. Found his letter, which was written to my grandfather. In the letter, he said that your wife died today in Auschwitz on a natural cause, and she died at such and such time, and that was all my grandfather ever had of his wife. He knew that people who went to Auschwitz never come back.
Ordinary people say it will never happen again and ignore the Nazis. But ordinary people help to kill other ordinary people by spreading Goebbels' message. I wish it wasn't just me saying this. I wish my grandmother was here to say it as well.
DOPESHEET will be on again this Sunday. We'll be showing some of the films featured in tonight's programme after the break in Beyond DOPESHEET.
In fact, you can see more from DOPESHEET tomorrow on 4 at 5 past midnight.